The mortgage office in Grand Rapids buzzed with the soft clatter of keyboards and the faint scent of fresh toner as the loan officer slid the final stack of documents across the polished oak table. Jordan Michelle Ingram. "Congratulations on your first home," she said, her voice echoing slightly in the quiet room. I glanced toward the waiting area rows of empty vinyl chairs. No familiar faces, no proud waves or camera flashes. My coworker Bailey snapped a quick photo and smiled. "Where's your family traffic?" I forced a nod. "Yeah, running late." That evening, back at my apartment, I tossed my keys on the counter and checked my phone. Dad's message lit up the screen. "Send $50,000 so Cole can buy a new car, can't have him losing to you." No congratulations, no questions about the house, just the demand. I stared at the screen, opened my banking app, transferred exactly $1 and typed the note, "For gas. Sent." As the confirmation appeared, something shifted inside me. I called a locksmith and watched as he installed the new deadbolt under the hallway light, solid, unyielding. For the first time, the door was mine alone. If your family ghosted your biggest moment and then hit you up for cash, drop your state in the comments. Let's see how many of us finally lock them out. 4 nights later, red and blue lights flashed through my blinds as I microwaved leftover pizza. The beep had barely faded when a firm knock rattled the door. I peeked through the peephole. 2 officers stood in the hallway, one adjusting his radio, the other holding a notepad. I opened up, chain still latched. "Evening, ma'am," the taller one said, his badge glinting under the fluorescent light. "We received a welfare concern from your father. He mentioned you changed the locks and haven't returned his calls." I unhooked the chain and stepped back. "Come in." The apartment smelled faintly of tomato sauce and cardboard. I gestured toward the kitchen counter's clean fridge stocked, my work laptop resting beside the home closing folder. The shorter officer scanned the space, his eyes pausing on the framed offer letter from my real estate firm. "Looks like you're doing fine," he said, tone even but kind. I shrugged. "Just setting some boundaries." They asked the routine questions: any recent stress changes at work, health concerns. I kept my answers simple. New homeowner, busy schedule. "No issues." The taller officer nodded, jotting notes. "Your dad sounded worried. Said you might be struggling." I almost laughed. "He's worried about control, not me." As they turned to leave, the shorter one paused at the door. "People panic when control slips. Happens more often than you'd think." The deadbolt clicked shut behind them, solid, final. I stood there for a moment, pizza forgotten. Quiet, settling like a blanket I finally chose. Sleep didn't come easy that night. My mind drifted back to when I was 16, clocking in at the Subaru parts kiosk after school. The place smelled of motor oil and rubber lights buzzing overhead. I'd count spark plugs and wiper blades, smiling at customers while my feet throbbed in cheap sneakers. Every paycheck went straight to Mom's account marked Cole's expenses. Gaming console, designer jeans, that ridiculous light-up skateboard he had to have. Dad would pat my shoulder. "Family invests in the future." I believed him. I thought my work was building something shared. But the future always belonged to Cole. His soccer cleats came before my textbooks. His spring break in Florida replaced my SAT prep course. I'd drag home after double shifts, hands smelling like brake cleaner, and find him sprawled on the couch, controller in hand. "Thanks, sis," he'd mutter without looking up. Dad never saw the grease under my nails or the exhaustion in my face. To him, I was just the engine keeping the golden child's ride smooth. By 18, I'd saved enough for community college night classes, online modules, anything that fit around work. Dad clapped me on the back. "Proud of you, kid. Keep sending those checks. Cole's got potential." Potential meant private lessons, new wheels, entry fees for go-kart races. I kept wiring the money, telling myself it was temporary. I graduated with honors, landed a real estate job, closed my first deal last month. Bought the house on Maple Street with every overtime shift and missed holiday. And still no one came. The officer's visit replayed in my head their calm professionalism against Dad's panic. He hadn't called once since the closing. "No. How's the house?" "No need help moving. Just silence until the locks changed." Then suddenly I was a crisis. I paced the living room bare feet on cool hardwood, the city hum filtering through the window. For years I'd measured love in payments and favors, convinced that if I gave enough, they'd see me. But the scale never balanced. I stopped at the counter, staring at the cooling slice. The quiet wasn't empty anymore. It felt earned, like the first breath after holding it too long. No more footsteps I didn't invite. No more demands through cracks. I took a bite. The cheese burned my tongue, grounding me in the moment. Tomorrow I'd face whatever came next. Tonight the apartment was mine, and that was enough. The next morning I brewed coffee and opened my credit monitoring app out of habit, then froze. A new hard inquiry glared back, dated 3 days earlier. I tapped it, an auto loan for $50,000 at Horizon Federal Bank, cosigner listed as Stephen Ingram. My pulse hammered as I scrolled through the details. Subaru WRX delivery scheduled at the Grand Rapids outlet. The address matched our old family home on Fulton Street, not my apartment. I set the mug down, hard coffee sloshing over the rim. This wasn't a mistake. Dad had used my social security number, my birth date, everything from the documents I'd left in their safe years ago. I dialed the bank's fraud line, fingers steady despite the rising fury. The representative answered after 2 rings. "Horizon Federal, this is Mark. How can I assist?" I gave my name and account info. "There's an unauthorized auto loan on my report." He pulled it up, keys clacking. "Yes, ma'am. Opened in person at our Breton Road branch. The primary applicant provided your ID and SSN. Co-applicant Stephen Ingram signed as well. In person." Dad had walked in, smiled at the teller, and forged my life for Cole's toy. "Freeze it immediately," I said, my voice flat. "And send the full packet, application, signatures, everything." Mark confirmed the hold and promised the documents within 24 hours. I hung up, hands now shaking, and stared at the screen. The loan showed pending transactions, custom rims, performance exhaust, dealer fees, all for a car Cole didn't earn. I needed proof he couldn't deny. Michigan allows one-party recording, so I opened the app, labeled the file, and called Dad. He answered on the 4th ring, TV noise in the background. "Finally decided to talk," he barked. "Explain the $50,000 auto loan in my name," I said. Silence. Then a short, dismissive chuckle. "Just building Cole's credit. You're doing so well with that house, share the wealth. Family helps family." My grip tightened on the phone. "You forged my signature." Another laugh. "It's an investment. He'll pay it back once he's on his feet. Stop being dramatic." The line crackled with his certainty, as if I were the one out of line for catching theft. "What's mine isn't yours," I said, ending the call, before he could twist it further. The recording saved automatically 23 seconds of confession. I replayed it twice. His words were crystal clear. Evidence. I transferred the file to my laptop, renamed it Proof Cha Stephen, and backed it up to the cloud. Next, I logged into the bank portal again and downloaded every page of the application. Dad's looping signature stared up beside a photocopy of my old driver's license, expired from college, the one I'd reported lost my senior year. He'd kept it. The branch timestamp matched a Tuesday I'd spent in meetings across town. No way I could have been there. I printed the documents at the corner copy shop, pages still warm from the laser. The clerk raised an eyebrow at the thickness but said nothing. Back home, I slid the stack into a plain manila folder with metal prongs. On the tab, I wrote "bank file" in black marker. It joined the house closing papers on my desk, 2 worlds colliding. The coffee had gone cold, but I drank it anyway, bitter against my tongue. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about audacity, the casual erasure of my boundaries. Dad saw my success as a resource, not as a person. Cole probably sat somewhere revving imaginary engines oblivious to the cost. I closed the laptop, the folder heavy in my lap. Everything was documented now, airtight. Whatever came next, I finally held the cards. Saturday noon, I pulled into the Subaru outlet lot where Cole had once worked summers. Now he wanted to own it. The asphalt shimmered under the sun, rows of new models gleaming with stickers. I parked near the service bay, folder on the passenger seat, and waited. Dad's truck rolled in 15 minutes late. Mom in front, Cole lounging in the back with sunglasses perched on his head. They climbed out, Dad adjusting his polo, Mom clutching her purse like a shield. I stepped from my car's envelope in hand. "Let's talk." Dad gestured toward the showroom. "Inside it's cooler." I shook my head. "Here's fine." Cole leaned against the truck, thumbs tapping his phone. Mom glanced around the busy lot, customers test driving nearby. "This isn't the place, Jordan." I opened the folder anyway, pulling out the bank statements. "Auto loan for $50,000, my name, your address." Dad's jaw tightened. "Misunderstanding." "We'll pay it back." Mom added quickly. "Your father meant well." Cole smirked. "Yeah, chill. It's just a car." I ignored him, sliding the application across the hood. Dad's signature, bold, my SSN below. "Forged in person at Breton Road." Mom's face drained. "Steven, you said it was approved." Before Dad could respond, my phone buzzed. FaceTime from Aunt Helen. I answered, propping it on the dashboard. Her tanned face filled the screen. "What's this about a parking lot meeting? Your dad's just proud of his boy Jordan. Cole deserves nice things." I turned the phone toward the papers. "He deserves them on my credit." Helen squinted. "That's not how it looks." Steven, Dad leaned closer. "Helen, it's temporary. She's overreacting." I hit play on the recording app. Dad's voice crackled through the speaker. "Just building Cole's credit. You're doing so well, share the wealth." The lot went still. A salesman paused mid-pitch. A couple with kids stared. Cole's sunglasses slipped. Mom whispered, "Turn it off." Aunt Helen's eyes widened. "You recorded your father." The call ended abruptly. Screen black. Dad's face flushed. "You had no right." I gathered the papers. "The bank decides now, not family." Cole kicked gravel. "You're embarrassing us." A mechanic wheeled a WRX past, engine roaring for a test. Dad grabbed my arm lightly. "Think about your mother." I pulled free. "I have." Mom's eyes glistened, but she stayed silent. I slid into my car, folder secure. As I backed out, the salesman watched, shaking his head. The lot shrank in my mirror, their figures small beneath fluttering dealership flags. Driving home, the AC blasted cold against my skin. Dad's denial echoed, but the proof sat beside me, undeniable. Mom's silence hurt most. She'd chosen sides without a word. Cole's entitlement, Helen's blind defense, it all fit the pattern I'd ignored too long. Grand Rapids traffic thickened as I merged onto the highway, windows down, wind tugging loose strands of hair. No more explanations needed. At a red light, I glanced at the folder again. The bank packet included ID photos, Dad smiling, my old license clipped beside. He'd planned it, timed it with my house closing, but plans crack under scrutiny. The light turned green and I accelerated, the city blurring ahead. Whatever fallout came, I was ready to face it head on. 2 weeks later, Cole posted an Instagram countdown, new WRX in 24 hours with the outlet's hashtag. The photo showed him grinning beside a blue Subaru, keys dangling from his finger. Comments poured in, friends hyping, emojis exploding. I scrolled from my couch, the bank's freeze notice still open on my laptop. They hadn't backed down. The next afternoon, Horizon Federal canceled the loan entirely, citing verification issues. An email followed. Officers would accompany a representative to the dealership for document review. Standard procedure, it said. I closed the message, no need to attend. The outlet would handle the rest. Inside the showroom, lights gleamed off polished floors and chrome accents. Cole stood center stage beside the WRX, arms crossed, the salesman clapping his shoulder. Dad hovered nearby, checking his watch. Mom sat on a leather bench, flipping through brochures. Customers milled around, some snapping photos of the new models. Two officers entered, first uniforms crisp, followed by a bank rep in a gray suit carrying a tablet. The taller officer approached. "Afternoon. We're here to verify financing on this vehicle." Cole's grin faltered. "It's my car. Papers are signed." The rep opened the tablet, scrolling. Loan number ending in 472. Primary name Jordan Ingram, co-signer Stephen Ingram. He turned the screen. Signature mismatch and address discrepancy. Dad stepped forward. "There's been a mix-up. We can clear it." The officer raised a hand. "We just need the originals." Cole dug through his backpack, pulling out crumpled forms. The rep compared them to digital copies. "This co-signer line doesn't match the authorized user." Voices dropped around them, a family with toddlers, paused, phones rising discreetly. Mom stood. "Officers? This is a family matter." The shorter one shook his head. "Bank policy requires on-site confirmation for disputed accounts." Dad's voice rose. "This is harassment. We're paying customers." The rep read aloud, "Unauthorized co-signer on identity documents." Gasps rippled. A teen filmed vertically, whispering to his dad. Cole's face flushed, red sunglasses pushed up like a headband. "Turn that off," he snapped at the kid. The salesman backed away, hands raised. "Folks, let's take this to the office." But the officers stayed. "Vehicle remains on hold until resolved." A tow truck backed into the bay, driver hopping out with chains. Cole lunged. "You can't take it." Dad grabbed his arm. "Son, calm down." The bank rep packed up the tablet. "All parties notified. Further steps will go through legal channels." Customers formed a loose circle, more phones up. The tow driver hooked the WRX engine, silent under the lift. Cole slumped against a display pillar, eyes, wet, fists clenched. Mom dabbed her cheeks with a tissue. Dad argued with the officer, gestures sharp, but words lost in the echoing showroom. By evening, clips hit Grand Rapids dealership drama, car repo in progress. Views climbed past 50,000 within hours. Comments poured in. "That's the Ingram kid, bank doesn't play." Screenshots of Cole's countdown post circulated, captions mocking the downfall. By midnight, the video had topped 300,000 views, shared across local groups. I refreshed the subreddit from home notifications pinging nonstop. Strangers tagged the outlet, demanding statements. The salesman posted an apology thread blaming a system error. Cole deleted his account, but archives remained. Dad's truck sat in the driveway next door, dark, empty. The fallout spread faster than any argument ever had. Envelope felt heavy, its wax seal unbroken. I carried it to the dining table, sliced it open with a butter knife, and spread the pages across the surface. Horizon Federal versus Stephen Ingram civil suit for a $50,000 auto loan plus $15,000 in attorney fees, court costs, and accrued interest. The summons scheduled a hearing downtown at the district courthouse small claims docket. Dad filed his own response. No attorney, just his cramped handwriting. I logged into the virtual courtroom from my home office microphone, muted camera off. The feed displayed polished wood panels, an American flag, and a judge in a black robe. Dad appeared on screen, wearing the same gray blazer from holiday photos, collar stiff. The bank's counsel stood first, advancing slides on the projector. Plaintiff presents a loan application with inconsistent signatures, an audio recording of admission, and failed SSN verification. The clip played Dad's voice, just building Cole's credit. The judge leaned forward, glasses catching the monitor's glare. Dad cleared his throat. "Private family matter, Your Honor. No fraudulent intent." Counsel followed with stills from branch surveillance. Dad at the counter handing over forms. "Timestamp matches defendant's calendar, not the co-signers." Dad shifted. "I plan to cover it." The judge reviewed the exhibits, asked two brief questions, then ruled judgment for the plaintiff, full amount plus costs. 8 minutes total. Dad's feed froze mid-expression, eyes wide. By noon, word reached his employer. Human Resources sent termination paperwork citing policy breach involving personal integrity. Colleagues boxed his belongings, a coffee mug framed photo of Cole in Little League nameplate. Security escorted him to the parking garage, badge disabled. No farewell, no reference letter. Cole withdrew from community college halfway through the semester, grades collapsing. He picked up night shifts at a logistics hub off 44th Street, scanning barcodes beneath fluorescent glare. Uniform polo, steel-toe boots, conveyor belts stretching endlessly. Paychecks barely covered half the rent for a shared studio with 3 roommates. Mom extended her hours at the medical billing office, processing claims until late evening. She skipped book club grocery runs before sunrise. The house on Fulton grew quiet, mail stacked up, grass overgrown. Neighbors noticed the missing sedan, repossessed discreetly. Monthly bank notices arrived, deductions from Dad's severance, direct withdrawals from their joint savings. The balance drained steadily. Cole's warehouse deposits barely touched the utility bills. Mom's overtime filled gaps, but credit cards hit their limits. The judgment lion attached to their property, clouding the title. No for sale signs went up, too much liability. Dad listed possessions on local marketplaces: golf clubs, power tools, Cole's old gaming console. Buyers bargained, paying cash. I archived the final payment confirmation, account closed. No triumph, just completion. One evening, Mom slipped a plain envelope under my door, no return address. Inside, neat cursive read, "We're sorry. Call when ready." I read it twice, then fed it through the shredder. Life returned to clean lines, no shared accounts, no overlapping obligations. The court file joined insurance documents in a locked drawer. Winter thawed, roads cleared, and the distance stayed intact. 6 months after closing, I carried the final box into the house, marked "New Start" in Sharpie. The entryway smelled of fresh paint and promise, the hardwood cool beneath my sneakers. I set the carton by the stairs and took in the open floor plan. Sunlight streamed through uncovered windows, dust motes drifting in golden beams. I mounted the old deadbolt on the living room wall, right beside the new keyring. The contrast caught the afternoon light, aged brass beside polished chrome. Bailey showed up with takeout and a 6-pack, unpacking plates, as she chatted about listings. "Perfect blank canvas," she said, stacking glasses. Work at Keller Williams kept me busy. Open houses on weekends, contracts midweek. I guided a newlywed couple through a bungalow like mine, highlighting updates. They signed the offer that night. "Thanks for making it happen," the wife said. I smiled, handing over the pen. I deleted every family contact: Dad, Mom, Cole, Aunt Helen. Numbers, erased, profiles, unfollowed. The phone stayed quiet, notifications trimmed to essentials. No surprise dings, no guilt bleeding through. Bailey hosted the housewarming that Saturday, inviting coworkers and running friends. String lights stretched across the patio, the grill sizzling with steaks. Guests mingled with drinks and hand stories overlapping. Someone toasted to second chances, laughter rising like music. Later, I slipped out to the deck, the Grand Rapids skyline faint in the distance. The city hummed below, traffic murmurs, a passing train. The breeze carried the crisp scent of the lake. My phone rested dark on the railing screen, blank. Peace felt earned, not borrowed. Clients soon filled my schedule: first-time buyers, retirees, investors. I walked a veteran through inspections and celebrated his closing with coffee and donuts. "You made this possible," he said. I nodded, thinking of my own road. Each deal felt like reclamation. The deadbolt drew questions at the party. "What's the story?" someone asked. "Symbol of boundaries," I said simply. They smiled, moving on to music. Bailey nudged me. "You really did it. Simple words, heavy truth." Routine took root. Morning runs, late emails, weekends staging homes. The house gained warmth, succulence on sills, local art framed on the walls. Neighbors waved during walks, coffee invitations followed. A community built by choice, not obligation. Family isn't the ones who claim your victories, it's the ones who stand beside them. I learned that the hard way, but clarity was worth the cost. Clean breaks heal fastest. 3 months later, a random LinkedIn message popped up from one of Dad's former coworkers. The profile photo showed a face I recognized from old holiday parties, now listed under a different firm. "Hey Jordan, long time." Stephen packed up and moved to Florida, staying with his sister-in-law. "Cole's doing shifts at an Amazon sort center. Thought you'd want the update." Plain text. No greeting, no sign-off. I read it over a turkey wrap at my desk, the office quiet, except for the rhythm of typing nearby. The details painted a new reality: Dad on a fold-out bed under Aunt Helen's roof, following her rules about dishes and lights out. Cole in a neon vest scanning totes on a conveyor belt, breaks capped at 15 minutes. Scanners beeped, quotas climbed, hours blurred. A follow-up message came through: bank mess sorted. I logged into the Horizon Federal portal. The account showed paid in full, final transfer from Dad's retirement rollover. Lien lifted, credit clear, no alerts, no balance. I archived the thread, cursor hovering before hitting delete. From the window, I watched a delivery truck idle across the street. 2 drivers hopped out, arms loaded with boxes, the same routine Cole lived now. No envy, no pity, just observation. Their choices, their outcomes. Mine stayed focused on listings and closings. I cleared the browser history, laptop screen dimming to black. The message dissolved into digital dust, uninvited, unnecessary. Updates arrived without request. Responses weren't owed. Lives diverged, paths sealed. Family isn't the line on a birth certificate. It's the hand signing beside yours at the closing table. I learned that through silence and blocked calls. Obligation fades when reciprocity dies. In the garage, I dug through storage bins until I found the old plaque, "Home Sweet Home," rustic font, edges worn. I grabbed the level and drill, stepped outside. The mailbox post stood waiting, blank, ready. Screws tightened, plaque straight. It hung steady in the sunlight, greeting the street. Forward only. The rear view stayed clear.